Hey everybody, John Brown here doing my second board game review. The first one was easy. Francis Drake is really popular right now. It just came out, it's new. I'm planning on doing Concordia as soon as I get it in the mail. That's just recently released, came out at Essen. And I had to decide what's another game I could do that might have some buzz right now. Well, Keyflower has a Kickstarter for an expansion that I think is just ending right now, but it should hopefully hit retail eventually. So I decided that might be a good game to do right now that people might want to see. Keyflower is a worker placement game, a city building game, a resource management game, a auction game, it's a lot of things, but instead of just feeling like a bunch of mechanisms tacked onto each other, it really is its own game. But is it a good game? Let's check out and see how it works. Alright, if we look here, we have two different players set up. Actually, this is kind of a setup for a three-player game. I just don't have a third player set up. And I don't have as many tiles out as I should, but just to give you an idea, you're going to have tiles out on the board that you're going to be both bidding on and activating. You have boats of workers that are coming in after every season, and you have tiles that determine both what order we pick the boats and what turn order we pick in. And then these boats not only have workers, but they also have skill tiles on the boats as well. There are going to be 4 seasons in the game: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, of course. Now, we start with just our home tile, and that is all there is to it. We also start the game with, depending on the number of players, a certain number of winter tiles and workers. So here we have these wonderful player screens that are built to look like houses that keep the information of what workers we have somewhat secret. Now, players will see what workers we'll get at the end of a round, but they don't know what workers we still have back there. These winter tiles are very important because every other season the tiles that come out that we bid on are going to be random, but the winter tiles we get to look at and decide whether we want to place 1 or 2 or 3, depending on, we might only get 2 depending on the number of players, but how many of those tiles we actually want to put out for bid. And these are going to give us objectives for endgame scoring. But the thing is, we may not get those tiles, so that's something that's very important to keep in mind. So give us a goal that we have in mind the entire game, but a goal we might not even accomplish. So during a round, we basically either place someone on a tile or bid on a tile. And it's pretty simple. If I was sitting in this position, I might put a guy there. Alright, and once we have bid on a tile, for another player to come in and try to outbid us, so if this were just a 2-player game, player sitting across from us would say, I'm going to bid 2 red meeples to try to get that tile. Now the thing is once a color of meeple is used on a tile, that is the only color that can be used to bid on it, or the only color that can be used to activate it. So let's say hypothetically, and actually I do, only have 1 red meeple left, I really wanted to get those 2 stone. I could place a meeple on there and activate the tile, and those 2 stone would come right into my hometown. So there I have them in my hometown now. Now in a later round, if I had that tile in my hometown, I would activate what it is on that tile. So the tiles here, what these basically mean is, here's the resource we'll get for using it. If we upgrade the tile, this is what we need to upgrade it with. And if we flip it over to the upgraded tile later in the game, we not only get 3 victory points here, but it'll give us this better benefit whenever we use the tile. If we activate our home tile, right now it gives us 1 shipping and 1 upgrade. So we would be allowed to move 1 good, 1 space to anywhere else on the board, and if we had enough on a tile to upgrade it, for example, if we had an ore and a stone on this tile, we could use that upgrade action to flip it over to the other side, which would give us 5 points, more movement every time we activate this tile. And the same thing applies in the center. If somebody places 1 worker on there, somebody would have to place 2 workers, either yourself if you want to activate it again, or if someone else wanted to activate it. And the really interesting thing is, at the end of the round, after we've bid and used as many of our meeples as we want, you can pass at any point, and the round isn't over until everyone passes in a row. Whoever wins the tile loses their winning bid. Any losing bids go back to that player, but they gain the workers on the tile. You can also bid on these tiles. These tiles, if I were to place, let's say, a yellow meeple there, say, I want the first pick of the boats, and if I were to win this tile, I don't actually get the tile, but I get to choose one of these 2 boats. One has more workers on it, but maybe I really need this pickaxe for something. So there's only going to be 2 tiles out there. it'll let us pick the second boat, but also give us the first player marker and the friendly waving meeple. Hello! So, and again, we don't get these tiles until the winter round, but we'll see how that works at the end of the game. Alright, so here we have a town that, we might have a situation like this after autumn, and we're just put out our winter tiles to bid on, which is going to be the final round, and a little bit different when the scoring happens. Now, one of the things we get in summer tiles, because spring tiles in general are ways to provide resources, which makes sense, because we're going to want to upgrade tiles and things eventually. Summer tiles have all different kinds of things, like here we can trade in one of our skill tokens to get 2 random ones. If we upgrade it, we can trade in 1 to get 3. But here we have some summer boat tiles. Boat tiles are really interesting because they basically give us special powers that let us break the rules of the game. So this one, when you're using an upgrade action, instead of using the resource that is listed on the tile, we can use any resource. So if I were to get 2 stone to this tile, I could then use an upgrade action to upgrade it. This one lets us use any color meeples to outbid someone out on the board. Any color meeples except for green meeples. What are green meeples? Because we didn't see any before. Here's one, a tile. If we activate this tile, we could put any color meeple on a tile. Let's say we could put a yellow meeple on the tile. We would then trade in a red meeple and get 2 green meeples. So, what do green meeples do? Well, they work just like every other meeple. If you put it out, then that's the only color that can be used on that tile. So if you're the only player with green meeples, guess what? I just won that tile with 1 bid. Now, people can try to get green meeples during the round, but they are very, very powerful. And here, we have some winter tiles. We have the ones that I had and a couple other ones. Here we have a Cathedral. It just gives you 12 points for getting it. The Key Market gives you 2 points for every green meeple you have at the end of the game. So when winter happens, we'll get the tiles that we won, put them in our town, and instead of getting workers off of boats, when we select the boat order, we will actually select the boats and put them in our town. And they will give us, well here I'm running out of space on the edge of the board, but this one for example, the end of the game will give us 1 point for every shipping we have available. I believe some of the summer tiles have more shipping available. Right now my town only has 2 shipping available, but there's tiles that have like 4 shipping and things like that, so it could be worth a lot of points. This tile would be one that I would prefer. It gives me points for however long my river is, extending out this way, and since I've already got 2 boat tiles, that would give me a third one. So that would give me 8 points, as we could see, 2 points for 1, 4, and then 8. So, and we also collect these tiles. These tiles we put into our town at the end of the game, and basically they will give us 1 point for each tile we have surrounding it. And of course tiles have to fit in properly, roads have to meet up with roads, etc. Don't block off your river space. Don't have a road spot sticking out here, because then you won't be able to build out that way. Just I'd not call it a pro tip, because I'm not a pro, but just a tip. So, one of the interesting things, though, is after spring, every round that we do, we can bid on a tile, we can activate a tile out on the board, but we can also place something on our own tile. So if I place something here, it would give me 1 wood. If it was upgraded, it would give me 3. But I can also place on someone else's tile. Now, I haven't really upgraded this town, but if I did, now I would get 1 gold. If it was upgraded, I get 2. And if someone else wants to go there, they have to use 2 meeples. But again, at the end of the round, any player that I place on their town, they're going to get that meeple. So there's a lot of things to keep track of. Do we want to give other people meeples? Do we potentially want to block them from using a tile? All different kinds of things to think of. So the game gets more interesting with each round, trying to decide what I want to go for, what I want to activate. And if I activate someone else's tile, just like activating a center tile, then it will go to my home space. But if I activate one of my own tiles, it will go to that space. And at the end of the game, we score points for any upgraded tiles we have. So there's 5 points right there. We score points for any tiles that we won that get us scoring at the end of the game. Some of the tiles need a resource on the tile, some of them don't. Anything that uses people can be used on multiple things. Anything that uses resources is going to be used once. Gold is a wild card that counts as 1 point at the end of the game. So, let's get to some thoughts. Okay, so is Keyflower a good game? It's really simple. Place a guy to activate a tile or bid on it. It's really complicated. What's my endgame strategy going to be? How am I best going to get there? Do I want to upgrade this? Do I want to use theirs? If I bid this, do I bid early to decide because I really want it, or do I bluff because I want to go somewhere else? Do I get the green guys out right away? Do I get green guys? What do I want to give to my opponent? There's there's a lot going on, even though the mechanisms are pretty simple. Let me put it this way. I just played it on Tuesday. It was about the 4th or 5th time I've played. The game is supposed to last 2 hours max. We had 5 people. 4 of them were brand new. 1 particularly slow player. It went 3.5 hours. But I still really enjoyed it. You're engaged in what other people are doing. That's a big key. And the games can be very different. You can have a lot of resources come out. I came in second with only 4 tiles at the end of the game because I scored so many points for resources. The person who won had a well-balanced town. One person everyone thought was going to win, she had so many meeples. She was taking these unbelievably ridiculous turns where every round she was making more people and then using those people to make more people. But she only got 1 meeple scoring tile, so that tile scored her a lot, but she didn't really score points other than that. So, I mean, it's just, the endgame scoring is a little convoluted to keep everything in mind. But there's so much variability. Every time you play it, different tiles are going to come out, different strategies are going to happen. And if this is the sort of thing that appeals to you, keeping track of all these different things, it's great. If you want to go in and smash people in the face and whatever, yeah, this game has some blocking of people, it has some bluffing. It's not that sort of game, though. But the mechanisms come together really well, and I think it makes a really fantastic game. It may take you a game or two to wrap your head around it. It's really hard to describe to other people what the game exactly is. But in the end, if you like that idea of keeping all this in mind, all these different simple and elegant mechanisms, but that come together for really important strategical and tactical decisions every round, then it's a fantastic game. And and I should go so I can let the dog out. But I highly recommend it if that's the sort of game you like. And hopefully we'll be talking to you guys soon. All right, bye.